Welcome back to Unrated Podcast. Here you have Elijah alongside Grant. We're going to get into another episode. Just finished another episode of Hard Knocks. We're going to dive into that. They're front and center in the Detroit City here. So just kind of want to throw it your way. Week two.
Yeah,
Kind of what was your overall thoughts of the episode?
way better episode in my opinion. Thought it was a little more action packed. Obviously, the first one, the first one was what it was. But I think this one, I know we had even talked like last time about how I like to see more about Swift. I'm around St. Brown. Like, sure enough, I mean, those seem to be a couple individuals that were more around the focal point for this show. Um, yeah, I mean, I think I'll say kind of like some of the takeaways that have overall, starting with Swift. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like to me, he just kind of comes off as like lazy, like a little disinterested sometimes. Like he knows he kind of reminds me of one of them guys. And we all went to school with him growing up and like super talented, but like, maybe just don't always be putting like for that total effort. I could be 1,000% wrong because he is in the NFL. You got to be a certain type of like,
Yeah, couple.
to be in the NFL. But and granted, sample size, we're not like in the meeting rooms and stuff, hearing everything all the time, anything like that. But just a few little clips, and even like during the game when he like missed a hole and got pulled, I don't know. For me, it was just kind of like, does he like care? Like, because I feel like how I'm looking at how that backfield is shaped up, I feel like he could kind of have like a Kamara type, like role
Mhm.
to where he can catch a ball off the backfield, run the ball pretty well. But on the flip side, I mean, you got guys behind them like Jamal Williams that work hard, get into it every day. So I think we need him to kind of be that bell cow, but it could kind of turn into maybe something to where he might end up being like sharing majority of carries and such. So that's just one thing. I'm probably a little over the top with that, probably thinking over that too much, but that's one thing. And then overall, I mean, I enjoyed like hearing about Amron Brown's story. I forgot he had a brother in the league.
Mhm.
It was pretty cool seeing a dad. Their daddy was pretty much training them from when they were younger. They showing little clips here and there. And then Malcolm Rodriguez. The thing with him, so I'm glad that we found a sixth rounder that could contribute to this team. But on the flip side, I'm kind of concerned that we have a sixth rounder contributing as much as he is to this team already.
Yeah, no. So not to cut you short, please keep that back. That is literally my third point.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would say, it was kind of crazy seeing a linebacker coach. He's really in there getting after everybody. Don't sound like anybody's really, sticking out besides him.
Mhm.
And he's showing, I mean, usually people disappear and the pads come on. I mean, he was looking forward to the pads and he's been, all over the place, just destroying people in training camp. So yeah, like I said, that's a bright spot. It's always nice to find a guy like that's a very valuable pick. Shout out to it looks good. Shout out to Brad Holmes for finding that. A little diamond in the rough. We'll see what happens as the year goes on and such. But I mean, he's making a great impression. So I would say overall, it's a pretty nice episode. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was a good episode. I do think back to what I said just week one regarding this. I think they're trying real hard to make it still like movie like cinematic.
Yeah.
Maybe even I don't want to say TV show, reality show like, but I that's kind of the vibes I'm getting because even off rip, they started this, which I could be wrong about this, but they started with like a recap in like last time or last
Mm-hmm.
in the last episode this happened. I don't recall that typically happening on Hard Knocks. But I could be wrong about that. But so that's kind of interesting to me. So that's kind of my first point, just how they're generally just shooting this time around. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's interesting in general. But other than that, I'm just going to kind of mimic some of the points you made. St. Brown, it was great seeing his dad, and I knew none of that before. I think they said he was
Mm-hmm.
a two-time Mr. Olympian. He was jacked. They showed him. He obviously got those. St. Brown is jacked for that matter too. They showed him on a jug machine, so clearly
Yeah.
they're doing something right. And the one thing, just kind of say, just a side point, I didn't, being a KD fan here, I didn't like that he said that. But that's a whole nother
That's
point.
crazy.
And
Out of nowhere.
yeah, no, and I mean, yeah, I got into a discussion with that, with my PT wife about whether that would actually make a difference or not. But and I guess what he's saying is his sons won't get hurt, knock on wood. Um, but I guess that's kind of what he's technically alluding to,
Mm-hmm.
is that the workouts protect the body. and so he has them on a certain type of workout to prevent certain type of injuries, I guess.
Yeah.
But in general, that's a good lineage to come from. I also forgot that he had a brother in the league. And then, I'm just going to go on over to the Rodrigo, as they like to call him, or Rodriguez. That's a guy that I think for him to be, we obviously were knee deep, waist deep in the NFL draft, in Lions NFL draft in particular. But that was a guy that always have kind of had a buzz around his name since we
Hmm.
got him. I think was he the Pac-12 Defense Player of the Year?
No,
Or wherever he was from. He
he
was,
played at Oklahoma State, and they had like a
yeah.
top five defense last year.
Well, I know he won. He did with some type of award. He was in the running at least. I remember something. That's because one of the
Yeah,
first things I read about him.
like the
Yeah,
linebacker war or
yeah,
something.
yep.
Yep.
And what you read, it is very consistent across the board. He likes to hit, and that's what I was reading when we first. I didn't hear about him until we drafted him, but that's what I was hearing when we first drafted him. He likes to hit. He likes to hit. He likes contact. Um, back to week one, they were talking about how you don't hear the pop of the players anymore because they got the foam stuff on their helmets. But I would say there was one particular play where he met that the blocker in the hole,
Yeah.
and I was literally texting and looked up and heard that and thought I was watching a real game.
Yeah.
That was a collision, and so
There's
he,
one too where they showed like multiple times, like
yeah,
from like the
yeah,
little thing, the
that's the
tent
one I'm
or
talking
whatever.
about. Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
they were showing it from like the guy in the snake
Yep.
whatever that's called.
Hmm.
But no, that play in particular, that you know that can get you a spot on a team. That's
Yeah.
I know they don't like wedge busting that much anymore or whatever, but that's something. There's always going to be a guy who can just run with reckless abandonment and no regard for his own self. Um, those type of guys have a spot in the NFL.
Yeah.
And a couple other things, if you're going to be out there as much as it looks like he may be, maybe they were just using him to put fire in everybody else's ass. But it is pretty alarming in general. What I mean, like Alex Malzone or whatever. He was the like probably the best linebacker last year on the squad.
Yeah.
I don't, I can't, I
They're
don't I remember seeing him in the background of a few plays. I don't remember seeing him on the field in
yeah.
any of the so far this in the Hard Knocks. So that's kind of alarming in itself that a guy that was a 6th round pick, unless he's just a complete diamond in the rough. I don't know if we would need him to be a key contributor.
Yeah.
You would think maybe if he can get in rotationally, that would be about on par. But if
Right.
so it's kind of interesting. And then just to throw it out there, a couple other things. Kirby Joseph, he didn't get much play. That's 4th round, 3rd round pick we had from Illinois to safety.
Yep.
I don't recall seeing him too much playing time or too much TV time on Hard Knocks, but he looked good in the preseason game.
Hmm.
I read that he had 43 snaps at safety, exactly split it 50-50 with another guy. Um, and he looks good. I actually read an article about him today, and I didn't even know he went into Illinois as a receiver, and they
Oh
moved
wow.
him.
I didn't
So
know that either.
yeah, so I think that's kind of interesting. I'm still very high on him. That was a guy that we both talked about as like a guy we should try to highlight and get for the draft, and we end up getting him, and now he seemed to be coming to full circle on that. So that's a good thing. And then just the wide receiver room. I think those guys watching at least the way they filmed it, it looks like they were running up and down on the field on the defense.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
with those wide receivers, being like the focal point of that. St. Brown looks good, ready to see what he can do another year. Funchess, Michigan man, he's had his moments in the NFL. He's big. We threw him a back shoulder end zone throw in the preseason
Yeah.
game. He can do that all day. We've been watching him do that for since he was 18.
I heard
And
they moved him to tight end, like
yeah,
back
yeah,
to tight end, which I think mismatch nightmare
agreed,
if that's the
agreed.
case.
In light of fire under Hawkins' ass, who's who we've talked
Not
about
this
him for a
year.
while. So and then just and then Josh Reynolds, kind of was the came over. Jared Goff is familiar with him. Had a good 5-7 game run with us last year, and
Hmm.
just kind of I forgot about him to be honest. And
Yeah.
so they called him the Serpent or whatever in the thing, but I kind of had more or less forgot about him and what he could contribute. So I am excited to see if the offense is that looking that good, or is the defense kind of going to have me on
Yeah. Oh,
off. on edge.
I'm with you, man. I'm definitely concerned about the defense. And like I said, I know it's early. It is early, right? But like, I mean, you just start to see some of the things you always just see in the past. With that preseason game, winning by 3. Fourth down and 9, let the quarterback run around, throw a touchdown. It's so that, like I said, it's very early. Obviously, probably has some guys that might not, most likely won't be on the team. Kind of out there running around a little bit here and there. But I just, for me, and sometimes it's just like, scheme, like what's kind of going on there. I'm trying not to like be so like concerned about it so early on. I mean, it's still a month into the first game, but I am just like, all right, like I mean, last year pass rush was an issue. Now we're starting to see, guys getting called out in the linebacker room, about a sixth rounder. Like, it. I think the secondary will probably be our strongest point or our strongest part of our defense, and there's still a lot of question marks there. I mean, I read an article, not an article, a tweet today that Okuda's just getting cooked by everybody. So like, you just gotta hope that they're gonna be making some changes, some adjustments, as things kind of get closer and closer. And yeah, I mean, I guess we'll kind of see what happens there as far as that. And I think just to kind of even touch on the receiving room more. I mean, I can't emphasize how excited I am about Amon-Ra St. Brown. I already see like a lot of like Golden Tate in him. And I was kind of just looking at some stuff online, and I totally forgot that he like was in the backfield for a couple plays last year and ran like a 30-40 yard touchdown on one of the plays. He
That's true.
And I might be getting a little ahead of myself. I'll be interested to see how they use him because I kind of see a little bit of like Deebo Samuel in him. You know, 5'11", 210, 215, just short, compact, can obviously can catch passes. Obviously shows he's versatile to catch a sweep or get into the backfield here and there.
Right.
And I don't foresee. I mean, I do think our plan going forward is to have like Swift and Williams kind of just carrying that load, but injuries always happen like they did last year. And if you got a player that good that can, be that dangerous from that part of the field, why not use them? But I mean, just like he's just short, stocky, can like feel like they can move like all over
No,
the
I mean,
place.
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean,
Yeah.
arguably our best offensive player. So
Yeah.
you got to find a way to get the ball in his hands as frequently as possible in
Yeah. The
different
quietest.
scenarios. And also, you don't want people to be able to key in on them, for lack
Right.
of a better term. You want
Move
at
them
least a
around.
bare minimum, you want to move them around, slot, left
Deploy.
side, right side,
Yep.
rotate, some keep him in motion, those type of things. But also, yeah, like you said, if he's good with the ball in his hands. So
Mm-hmm.
just find a way to make that happen as frequently as possible. So I mean, yeah, I'm not mad. I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah.
But
I think too.
I
It's
also
like
think he may be not that Debo isn't, but he is a pure receiver in the sense of I think if you just go, he can't go out there and line up and just you know
oh yeah, 100%.
if he went out there and just lined up and didn't have any carries at all and just catches, he easily could still
Mm-hmm.
surpass, 80 balls, 1,400 yards, something like that,
Oh
and
yeah, because you can
somewhere in
still. I
that
mean, him
neighborhood.
being as physical as he is,
Hmm.
you get him one on one with a corner. They got to kind of make a decision. What I'm saying? Just like the way he runs, and just kind of seeing. And that's why I'm in college a little bit. Stuff he was able to do. They didn't have like a backfield or anything, but like he's basically. I mean, to me, he looks like a running back that's with good hands. Like
Right.
so that's kind of the route he went.
Agreed.
So
So I guess we didn't talk about this, but just I kind of went there. Where so we talked about Swift potentially being, the workhorse,
yeah,
give it to him day in and day out. So I watched, not the we both watch other podcasts regarding local Michigan sports here, and I see some people potentially very high on him. I guess I just want to know, like, obviously he's good, but
yeah,
is this year? Would you say it is a form of a make it break it year where you've showed flashes, but now we're entering third year, you're
yeah.
banged up. Can we have, I guess, is it a make it or break it type of year, or what needs to happen for you to say we don't need to get another guy in this room? You know what?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, no, from him, I need to just look up his stats. Not
He
that
had,
it's always a numbers thing, but
I
go
think
ahead.
he had 600 rushing yards last year, five something the year before.
Okay.
But I do think
Yeah.
he had I think I read somewhere he had 1,000 line of scrimmage yards.
Okay. So yeah, I mean you're looking right there, second round pick. He's got 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns in 2 seasons. over 100 catches. I mean, he's probably got overall. I was looking into his stats a little more. Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm looking at for him, I would say what I'd be, I guess, like happy about would be like, I do think he's one of them. Like, as he goes, we go. You know what I'm saying? Like, we already have a quarterback that. I mean, Jared Goff is who he is, um, but like, we need Swift to be able to, kind of put the team on his back, here and there, and just really be able to like take over a game. Like I said, I see that Kamara type skill set in him. I mean, we've seen flashes and stuff here and there, but no, I do feel like it's kind of like a make or break, year. I mean, because like with a running back, I mean, you start seeing guys get banged up. It's like, oh well,
Yeah,
you might be done then. I mean, the expectancy for an NFL player period is like 4 years in the NFL. My running backs, I mean, we already seen like, I mean, we tried to draft so many running backs the last 10, 15 years.
agreed.
I mean, I think we had Kerryon Johnson for 3 years, and it was pretty much a wrap after that. I mean, there's just not really a lot of patience for that position. So yeah, it is do or die for him this year, I would say.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Is it's you so you can have those type of you can do the running backs where you have a couple of guys and
Right.
but that's how you have to kind of build your team. And I don't think we're looking for that. I think we want him to be the guy.
Yeah.
And like every down back, 20, 25 carries or
Mhm.
17 to 25 carries or somewhere in that ballpark a game and just give it to him. And I
Yeah.
don't know if typically like I mean you just said it, but typically by now the run like going into your third year for a running back, that's usually probably like you've already had your best years behind you if you are like Ezekiel's best year was his first year,
Hmm.
Todd Gurley's best year was his first year. These guys, I think Lacey too, all of them guys that have came and gone that have had a good little couple year run. Typically
Yeah.
speaking, they're out the gates hot and they're already ran into the ground by year three, and we can't seem to get him out the gates. Uh,
Yeah. And
but I
that's
mean, there is flashes where he looks good, but it is one of those things where, like you said, injuries and all that stuff. Maybe it just, it might not just work.
hmm Yeah, I'm just kind of, looking a little closer into his stats. I mean, he only like last year, he didn't even crack. He barely cracked. No, he didn't crack 900 total yards. Had 8 touchdowns. I mean, that could always kind of be an inflated stat, getting a lot of carries at the goal line. I'm not. I think he's gonna. I think he's a dog. I do think he can, definitely be something. Um, how his numbers look, like I said, that's why I kind of got like that Kamara type, comparison for him. Because I don't. Maybe they don't think he can, carry it 20, 25 times. Maybe that'll be more Jamal Williams like doing that heavy lifting. I don't know.
Yeah,
But I do feel like I'd like for Swift to be on the field more than Jamal Williams. I mean, I think Jamal Williams is a good, great player, like a team guy, glue guy, but he's just so much more limited in his abilities than Swift is. So yeah, we'll see with that, man. Because I think, I mean, that's like I said, that's already a position that people kind of can like. It's like, all right, I'll just go get this guy, replace this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he could literally could be a rat next year for him, just kind of depending on how this year goes. But I'd love to see him, 1,000 yards, 13. Give me like 1,200 all purpose, 1,300 all purpose.
yeah, no,
It's,
and I mean, and look at it from this point of view. I mean, we cannot fail at the running back when the offensive line is, if the offensive line is what they're supposed to be, which is very, top
yeah,
tier. You'll be insane not to be able. You can literally, when your offensive lines are as good as ours is supposed to be this year, people literally put anybody back there and get 1,000 yards.
right. That should be our
So,
identity.
yeah.
Like, should be
So
like 60-40, like run to pass, my
yeah,
opinion, just based on how this team is built.
agreed, agreed. And if you don't have the guy to be able to go back there and just hand it to him, that's
Right.
an issue because that, you know, I mean, you literally, I mean, look at some of these great offensive lines over the last few years. They're putting back any old second, third, fourth round pick, and and he's looking like a AP. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's where it is now. I mean, it's unfortunate. Like at one point in time, it was like
Hmm.
running backs kind of ran shit, but now it's like, I mean, like you said, we really watch teams just draft players, fifth, sixth round running backs. I mean, they come in, hit the hole hard, pick up blocking assignments. Like, I mean, it's not really even like I mean, as a running back getting drafted that late in the drafts. I mean, it's like okay,
Yeah.
like all I gotta do is go in here and just run. You know what I'm saying? Just out. Like that's easy. It's probably maybe one of the easier transitions to the NFL, in my opinion. I would say just across the board from all positions. So yeah, like I mean, it wouldn't be nothing if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do this year. It'd be nothing for them to go pick up somebody else late round next year and just try to see if they can light a fire on them or something, or be in that process of potentially moving on. So we'll see what happens with that.
Agreed. And I guess just to, I have my paper folded, so I missed the point here. But I had, I guess just to transition a little bit, kind of more to the coaching and aspect of things. Who so I guess I don't know. I guess from my point of view, they've showed the coaches they luckily had them on two different sidelines, which is something I was happy about because I felt like they were trying to manufacture the arguments, for lack of a better term. But
Yeah.
so I have that to say, it kind of looks like Deuce is the one calling the plays.
Yeah, I don't know who's calling the plays.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
yeah, because I thought it was supposed to be the guy that took over last year at the end of last year. I think his name was Ben Johnson, and
Okay.
yeah, it just kind of seems like
So I will.
Deuce is the one calling them. So
Yeah, I will say because like, are you talking about the scene when like when they're in the game when it didn't work out, or was that practice?
yeah, yeah. Well, see, I feel like uh, continuously he's the one calling, even when they were going back in week one,
Okay.
when they were doing the offensive versus defense, he was the one on the field. I feel like calling out the plays,
Sometimes offensive
yeah,
coordinators they'll like
phone it in.
sit,
Yeah,
they'll kind of be sitting somewhere they can see everything. But you could very well be right. I mean, I did see him like looking at a play like marking it down. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like what I saw from was more of like, all right, this play sucked. Let's mark it so that we need to go look at the film on it.
mm.
But it very well could have been him, saying like, all right, like this play's done, like going to the next play. But
No,
I'm
I
not
mean you could be right. He
sure.
could be sitting up press box
Yeah,
type, just in the quarterback ear.
that bird's eye view
Yeah, for sure.
more.
That's definitely could be the case. I just kind of like an observation I made. Just wasn't sure if you made the same one or not, but
Yeah, that's really interesting because I think it goes back to my point I made last week about how like they have all these coaches with like 80 years of NFL experience, but like very light on the coaching side of things. So that, to me, and no offense to Deuce, but like that would be slightly, you know what I'm saying, like a little bit of a concern because I think he's only been coaching for like
yeah,
a year or two. I don't know. I mean, maybe they trust him to be able to do it at some point. Just maybe that's something that kind of comes as natural. But like, and I could be totally wrong on this, but I just feel like you don't hear about like first, second year guys like calling plays. I mean, I know, you know what I'm saying? So that would be interesting though to kind of see who is, if it is indeed Ben Johnson. That's something I want to be able to look up and just kind of understand more of.
yeah, no, for sure.
So
But no, I think in general, I am. This is doing its job. It's getting me very excited for the season.
yeah.
Hutch looked. He had a couple great
Yeah.
plays in his little sample size that we did see.
It's so hard, man.
Yeah, we've seen everything I needed to see practically.
Yeah.
So it's just exciting to see that and what he could potentially become as the anchor of the defense. We just talked about the D line being one of the weaker points, but
Yeah.
hopefully he is what the bright spot of that unit. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean he just looks like the second round pick or second overall pick.
Yeah, he had like a tackle for loss, or he had two tackles, a tackle for loss, and he also forced a holding call.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was in like 12
Right.
plays.
Yeah, yep.
So
In a couple
yeah.
series or two. Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to bring up, David Blau in that huddle. Also, first of all, I'll say I won't get on here and just completely just knock my man. That's gotta be a horrible feeling, right? Of course, gotta be a horrible
100%.
feeling. But no, I thought it was awesome. They showed that his wife, won second place in the Olympics. He was like earlier last year.
Yeah, definitely.
Just kind of talk about their story a little bit and everything. But I'm like, it don't get much more. And I promise you, you and I both try to be more optimistic about the Lions season. They don't get more Detroit Lions than hearing him in the huddle, you know,
Stressing ball security.
knees, we're doing it for the city, and he goes out there and fumbles. But that's just, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
no,
just,
you
there's more Lions
100%.
than that.
Yeah,
You got
you
the lead, fumble the ball on your own side of the field, give up a score, get the ball back, can't even tie the game. Like that's just
yeah.
textbook.
No, 100%. No, that was pretty demoralizing in general. And I think you just I don't know for it just I'm gonna say two things. So I guess for throw him, a little bit of a lifeline or whatever. I could see and literally feel like how bad he felt. Like
Yeah,
when he was laying there and once he seen he lost the fumble and he gripped his own face mask like on the ground. Like I know, like
slam the
I could,
helmet.
you know what I mean. I knew that feeling that he had was just like, oh my god, like
Absolutely.
I'm probably about to get cut. Like that was, so that's one of those things where I can only imagine how that really made him feel. But I seen the stress and where he gripped that face mask. You couldn't even see his face. So no, I feel for him. But no, that is, you are not lying. To sit there and say, a couple more runs, ball security, this and that, and then you go Butterfinger it the very next play, and
Like,
and then lose on like a 40-yard, 50-yard bomb, and that is the Lions way.
because I thought the whole world got to kind of like experience what we experience on
On a
Sundays every
week to
year.
week, yeah, yeah,
That's literally in a nutshell. Like it, I don't. We won't get too much into it today, but I don't know if we cursed or what is, but like that, you know what I'm saying? Like it'd be stuff like that where it's like, man, like got the dub, in the bag.
yeah,
You want to sit here and maybe like, and it's just preseason, so like who really cares, right? But it's also like, maybe it should have been under center. There's just so many different things like kind of think about in that situation to try to just like secure that win. Because I mean, yeah, when you're, I feel like a lot of the Detroit sports teams. I mean, we're on the rebuild. Haven't been very good in the last few years. Like everything for us is so much more important, regardless of what it is, just because of like where we're trying to go. So like, having that win, that would have been great for the coaching staff. Just kind of be like, okay, like new
yeah,
year, beat the Falcons in like great fashion. But now it's like, all right, like let's go to next week and try to finish the game now. You know what I'm saying? Now it's always like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
almost
behind the
like,
eight ball at that point.
yeah, like back to the
And
drum.
that's kind of what I said in week one, just regarding the coach, that this only really works. This mentality only works if you are seeing results.
Right.
If you're not seeing results, down ups and hitting in practice ain't working.
Yeah.
If you're not seeing results, saying 3 butt cheeks and a toenail, that just don't hit the same no more. So
Yeah.
I think I agree with you on those points, and it's just one of those. You know, you're right. It was kind of a snapshot into what happens on a week to week basis, where you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling good, you're riding high. You got the win in the bag. It is preseason, so it doesn't mean all that much, but it's the mentality of how you lose.
Yeah.
Sloppy fumble, bad execution on defense,
Little things.
seemed off guard that they would even go for it on fourth.
Yeah.
Back to the coaching potentially. It just seemed so. And then also, yeah, it is just preseason, so we all don't got our ones out there for all that long. I get that, but then we get into the depths of the team. If your twos and threes are that better than other people's twos and threes, that's going to still reflect the team.
When those injuries hit, it's a wrap.
Yep, as soon as injuries hit, things of that nature.
Not getting a proper look in practice.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it does really matter when that backup safety is just lazy and gets burned on that play. The one thing you can't let him do, and that guy could potentially you know be a key contributor if somebody goes down or if the dice fall a certain way this season, and that's who you're relying on your back end, a leaky
Mm-hmm.
spout. So I just think a couple of the writings on the wall, but I'm not ready to throw it away completely yet. But
Yeah.
some smaller writings on the wall. But I am very eager to go ahead and see next week's episode, just kind of
Mm-hmm.
lay it out a little more.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm glad that they, obviously Hutch has kind of been focal point because second overall picks, that's expected. But I just love that we got to see more Swift. I'm around St. Brown. I mean, that's coming one of my like favorites. I mean, even and I forgot to bring this up earlier, but knowing all the players drafted before him,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just rattling them off.
Yeah, doing that
And,
like Brady style.
yeah, not gonna lie, there's some dogs drafted in front of him. But like, I mean, just the fact that he just understands that and he knows that. I mean, I'm looking. He probably had the quietest like 90 catches and 950 yards and like 6 touchdowns I've ever seen. Like, so and he was kind of coming on more later into the year. So I'm just excited to kind of see him come out the gate and just see how productive he can be. That receiving room as a whole, like I said, looks pretty good. Don't even have JMO yet. So yeah, all overall solid episode. I'm glad. I'd like to see what they highlighted, and like you said, I'm just excited to see what's going to be coming up in the next week.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a good one. I think they're showing the city well as well.
Yeah. Yes.
A good light. That's nothing that we can what's the word I'm looking for? That's something that I feel good about. You know, they showing the city in
Yeah.
good light, showing a lot of good sights.
So we just don't see Detroit in the
Different.
spotlight very often.
Agreed.
So
So in general, a little song at the beginning was kind of weird, but that's a whole another point. But no, I'm looking forward to episode 3 though, and the season. You know, not too far away at all.
okay, yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I think just trying to be patient, stay optimistic. I think overall, just kind of put a button on it. For me, and you already said it a couple different times, like it just translates into winning. All the other little stuff. I mean, it's hard for me to kind of get excited and be laughing about some of the stuff that's being said by Campbell. But it's like, all right, like, hopefully we can kind of put, some of all this, talk into action and start winning some football games this year.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think you can see them putting an overemphasis on culture.
Yeah,
they're sitting around asking players that played at good universities how many times you lost in college, and all that. Which I do think I get all that, but also that's all things that I just don't know if it really works because nobody gives a shit how many games you won in college. This is I won undefeated in high school. I mean, I don't, I just don't understand I get the idea behind it, but I don't know if it works.
Yeah.
Is my point. I guess it's an experiment. This whole thing is an experiment. Not having experienced coaches, hiring a dude that used to be a tight ends coach as your head coach. Yeah. Jared Goff is an experiment. The whole thing is just, like a lab experiment to see if we can kind of turn this around. And, but either way, I say all that to say, they do got me on the hook, and and I'm overly excited, to see all of it, just week to week, seeing Big Hutch go to work is, as a Michigan fan, I'm a tune in every week for that alone. So, yeah. You got anything else for people?
That's all, man. 3 more episodes. Looking forward to, just kind of seeing how things unwind. And yeah, football season is literally right around the corner. So it's exciting to kind of just see things starting to slowly just make that transition.
Yes, sir. All right. That's all. Peace.
So.